And we are live. Let me see if I can make this a bit bigger. Okay, hey guys, welcome back to Higher Being Society Revival Week. I'm talking about day 2. It's day 5, y'all. It's been a long week, but we have made it through each and every day of a lot of different topics. And today we are in a very important topic. And it's so crazy how these topics are just coming up as needed in my life. But today's topic is about setting and protecting your boundaries. So we're going to get into all things about boundaries and allow some time for you guys to join and some people to hop on. So we're just going to give y'all a couple minutes. Just give it a couple minutes before we do our little warm-up exercise. Let's see. Okay. It's like, oh, it's just now 8. I'm like, is nobody on here? What's up? Okay, guys. Just giving a couple minutes before we officially start for people to jump on and join us. I feel like for the few of us that's on here right now, go ahead and light your candle, light your vibe, light your blunt, whatever you got to do to get in the mood, to open your heart and your mind to some new information and to get comfortable and relax so that we can learn and grow together. So I'm lighting my candle now. So go ahead, go ahead and get your mood set, get your vibe right, whether that's relaxing, whether that's lighting something up, whatever you got to do to get in the mood. And then we're going to go ahead and take a couple deep breaths together so we can just get out of survival mode. A lot of time we're ripping and running throughout the day, especially me. I know I have been doing so today. And we aren't present in our body and in our self and in our energy at the moment. We're doing so many things. Our head is racing. Our mind is trying to multitask. And we're just trying to get all our work done. So let's take a moment to decompress. We're going to take a couple deep breaths in and a couple deep breaths out. And with each deep breath in, I want you to assess where you are physically and just understanding like where in your body you feel tension. So on those breaths out, you can release that tension in those areas and being mindful of that in that moment. So let's do it together. We're going to do a couple deep breaths in. Out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Yeah, and I'm like releasing all that tension I got on my shoulders and all in my back. And it just like your body just instantly will feel more relaxed and at ease. And that gives you a place of like comfort, right? It's in your own skin. It gives you a comfort zone where you are no matter where you're at. And you can use this at any time of the day, whenever you feel anxious, whenever you feel like the world is just coming at you fast. You know how life be lifing. So whenever you feel like that or get overwhelmed, you just take a couple of deep breaths, take a moment to just really assess where you're holding tension into your body and releasing that tension, because we can't be carrying that around. That tension turns into stress, and that stress turns into disease in our bodies, and we got to release that, okay? So it's been an amazing week. I just want to thank everybody that's been tuned in each and every day, all week, to each topic. They have been really great. If you missed any of them, you can use whatever email you got for that day. You can just click that same link for the replay in case you missed it. You can also feel free to share these with somebody, whether it's your homegirl, your sister, your mama, your friend, your baby daddy, whoever. You can share them with them so they can get some of this knowledge. Hopefully encourage them to go after their dreams wholeheartedly and fearlessly this year as we conquer everything that we setting out to. So, yeah. So this year, today's topic is about setting boundaries and protecting those boundaries, because a lot of us can't reach our goals and don't reach our goals because we get distracted, because we allow people to, whether it's life or people or our environment, to distract us and knock us off. But if we set strict boundaries on what we're accepting and what we are putting up with this year, then we can be mindful of those boundaries and hold them in place throughout the entire year and make sure that we stay in focus. So really quick, I just want to, if you are in here, I see a couple people joining in, drop in and let me know what day has been your favorite day so far. If you've been tuned into Revival Week, let me know in the chat what day has been your favorite day so far, or what topics have been your favorite topics. Let me know. I definitely want to know while we get into setting boundaries. So a lot of people are like, what are boundaries? I remember when I was like, hey, Cherie, yes, girl, we made it to Friday. We made it, and look at us. We was on time today. No technical difficulties. I told y'all it's going to keep getting bigger and better each and every time. So just be prepared for the next one. It's going to be way better. We're going to have guests and all type of things. But about setting boundaries, right, and protecting your peace. I feel like the boundaries have to be set in place to protect your peace. But a lot of people don't know, including myself. I didn't really know like what boundaries were like and how to set them. I'm like, nobody talked about this growing up, but I kept running into the reoccurring issue as an adult and in my early adolescence. Like I feel used, or I feel depleted, or I feel distracted, or I feel like no matter, I'm getting turned off by the energy or distracted by the energy that's around me, or like if my friends call, I might pick up the phone and now my whole schedule is different. Like I didn't have boundaries when it came to myself, my mental space, my personal space, my feelings. And when I was going into relationships, like I went through a lot of hardships because I did not set boundaries up front. So I did the research. So I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit about what I found, but let me jump in the chat really quick. Shay said consistency was her favorite. Cherie said day one, putting God first and being obedient and trusting his timing. Yes. Courtney Peck said being consistent, but this may be the one tonight. I know, right? Laura says Monday was building your relationship with God, and day 4 was Higher Being's favorite, consistency. Mariah said Monday and Wednesday. So God and consistency was our favorite, right? Consistency again with Shayla. I love it. We all needed that, right? I feel like consistency was probably my favorite day too. So we right on track with that. And God, building my relationship with God, it's them same too. The top 2. Okay, so based off what I found on my research, y'all. So, and another reason why I wanted to before I started doing research, I was like, I feel like if we learn how to set boundaries, we won't be so caught off guard when people test our boundaries, because we have boundaries in place and we know how to protect them. We know how we set them and we know how to move forward. But in the past, I realized that I was always so caught off guard when people would test my boundaries because I didn't even realize I was supposed to be having them. I felt so unprepared. So I don't want myself or any of you guys to go into 2022 unprepared without having boundaries set and standing by them firm, because that is what's going to protect our dream. That's what's going to protect our peace and protect our goals. So there will be distractions. Whether it's people, experiences, your environment, energies that will occur and that will try to pull your focus away from your goals this year. But the main thing is to be prepared for them. How do you react, or how are you prepared? That therefore you're not reacting, but you're proactive. So you're expecting them, and that takes the fear and feeling of them catching them off guard, right? Of them catching you off guard. So what are boundaries? Based off the research that I found, like, boundaries can take many forms. They can range from like rigid or super strict boundaries to very lenient and almost non-existent. That's me. I didn't have many boundaries up until recently, right? And boundaries can also go hand in hand with like non-negotiables, which we'll get into in a little bit. But excuse me. For a person that has like very rigid boundaries or strict boundaries, this is what your life might look like. You might keep others at distance. You might seem detached often. You might even seem detached with like intimate partners. You might have few and far between close relationships, or you avoid close relationships altogether, right? So I was like, what does that look like if you're super strict? And it's because I knew what it looked like when I ain't had none. So I'm like, what's the polar opposite of that? Because you always want to find like a happy medium. So that's like one extreme. You can either be keeping people at a bay, keeping long candle spoons, not afraid to have meaningful, close relationships because you're afraid of people disrespecting you or crossing your boundaries. But if you were like me or are like I was, and you had more loose or open boundaries, you might find yourself getting involved with other people's problems a lot. They come to you with a problem. You don't just listen. You are invested in trying to solve the problem. You are invested in trying to be the solution to the problem. Well, really, it ain't got shit to do with you. And a lot of times I learned that sometimes people don't even want a problem solver. They just want to vent. So you're wasting your time and your energy, burning yourself out, trying to figure out how to fix these people's problems, and they wasn't even coming to you to fix it. You just done appointed yourself to be the fixer. For what? Because you don't have any boundaries, right? And now all your energy is poured into whether this person gonna take your advice or not when they didn't even ask for it. Also, a person with loose or open boundaries, you might find it difficult to say no to others people's requests. Like anytime somebody asks you to do something, you down, you don't get the details. This again has been me. You would just be like, oh yeah, sure. And then after the fact, you'd be like, oh wait, what was the budget for that? Or what did you need from me from that? And then you realize, oh shit, I don't want to do that. Or I'm not doing that. I'm signing myself up for something that's going to be too draining or not worth my time or whatever. So overly eager to please people and to always say yes. You're afraid to say no, sometimes out of fear of rejection or fear of hurting people. But you are the most important people. So if you're hurting you, then everybody else is getting hurt after that because you aren't able to perform and be the best version of yourself in whatever it is that you saying you signing up to do, and you don't even really want to do it. So that's one way that it looks. One depiction of loose or open boundaries. You also, if you had open boundaries, you might also find yourself oversharing personal information with others. Again, just in conversation, just telling all your business. That has also been me. I'm not afraid to tell y'all where my flaws are. I know that we have made like an open connection where we can be consistently real with each other, but I'm gonna just be transparent. Like, this was me, all of these, even down to the last one, which is seeking to please others. Like I said, out of fear of rejection. You afraid to say no. You want to just please people or even if it's not saying no, but you overly compensate for your presence in someone's life when you don't have to do that. Okay? You don't. Your presence is enough, and a lot of times, and more than enough. And you just being you and offering what you have to offer on a consistent basis is just enough. You don't have to be the friend that I would be the friend that always drives or always picks up the check, or if something is going on, miscommunication, I got it. Like, even if I really didn't have it, you don't have to be that friend. You don't have to overcompensate, because if you can't have friends or family or meaningful relationships that meet you halfway, it's a waste of time anyway. It's not even worth you or your energy. So overcompensating and seeking to please others out of fear of rejection. So if you have loose or open boundaries, that's what that might look like. In the chat really quick, drop in if you feel connected to either or of those. Like, if you feel like, oh, I'm somebody that has super strict, rigid boundaries, or I'm somebody who is very closer to the loose boundaries, or if you like, oh no, I'm not either, but I do have that one, or I do that one. Let me know in the chat. Drop it below. I want to know where you guys are. But so we want to find a healthy balance between either of those, whether you're on one extreme or the next. Like, we want to come somewhere right in the middle, right, to find that perfect mesh. And a person with healthy boundaries understands that making your expectations clear helps in two ways. It establishes what behavior you will accept from other people, and it establishes what behavior other people can expect from you. So if you have healthy boundaries, you might share personal information appropriately, not too much, not too little. You know what I mean? You're not withholding information and being weird and being like, oh, why are you asking all these questions? Or, you know what I'm saying? You just have a healthy balance in between the two. Also, if you have healthy boundaries, you might understand your personal needs. You will understand your personal needs and wants and know how to communicate them clearly. Now, as I'm growing in my personal life with setting these boundaries and learning to be a little bit stricter on them, I have realized that I am understanding what I really do need, and I'm not afraid now to speak on it, because now that I understand my needs, I realize you really don't require that much. Like, you really don't need that much. You really just want people to openly communicate back with you what they're expecting and what their boundaries are, so that you can be respectful. Like, you know your heart, you know your intent, and once you like dig a little deeper and peel back those layers and understand what you really need and want, you'll realize a lot of times that most of us aren't coming from a place of malicious or you know what I mean, ill intent when we are setting these needs and wants. We're just literally protecting our little selves, little you, and we're just trying to make sure that we are safe and protected. So it's okay. And a lot of the things that you require aren't too much. You just are asking the wrong people, or you aren't asking them at all. You haven't spoken up. You haven't set these boundaries or these expectations from day one in the jump. So also, a person who has healthy boundaries values their own opinions. You are not seeking for outside validation. You don't need confirmation from all of your friends and family members and every single person you know about how you feel. You know how you feel. You know what is triggering you. You know what you require. You know what you need. You know what you want, and you know what you're not going to accept. You don't need anybody else to validate that. As long as it's not hurting anybody else, of course, you don't need a second opinion on it. It is what it is. Consult with you and God, okay? And a person who has healthy boundaries also accepts when others tell you no. So if you have healthy boundaries, you can respect that when somebody else gives you a no, you're like, okay, that's past your boundary, or you can't do that, or that's out your jurisdiction. So I respect that, I honor that, and I respect that, and I'm moving forward, or I thank you for the opportunity. And a lot of times, you know what I realized? Like, you don't even have to, like, we be so afraid to tell people no, and then you tell people no, and then nothing happens. Like, or they're like, okay. Or, okay, you know what? I do have somebody else in mind. And you be like, damn, I was so caught up on, like, what you were going to say or what you were going to do if it, you know what I mean? So it's like we put this pressure on ourselves and we put it in our own heads that, they're not going to like me, or it's going to be an issue if I'm not there, or if I can't do it, or if I'm like, no. But when you say no, they're just like, okay, totally understand, because they have boundaries. You know what I mean? And they're respectful of their boundaries, so they can respect yours. And it goes vice versa. Once you become respectful of your own boundaries, you can then be respectful of other people's. So, what are some examples of boundaries, right? There are 5 different types of boundaries I found. There are physical. This refers to like personal space, your privacy, your body, you know, like sexual things. Like, okay, this is my boundary when it comes to like being physical. You might be someone who's comfortable. You might be someone who is comfortable with public displays of affection, like kisses, hugs, holding hands, and things like that. Or you might be someone who does not prefer to be touched in public. Like for me, when I'm single and I'm dating, one of my hard boundaries is like first date, please don't touch me. Like you might try, like, I mean, I don't mind okay, try to hold my hands or little things like that, but don't grope me on the first date like you're familiar with me, my space, and my boundaries or my body. Like, I don't know you like that. So, and I really ain't even wanting to kiss on the first date. Like, I'm not with it. So that for me is my boundaries, but you have to be open and honest and communicate with people about your boundaries, right? So also, there are sexual boundaries. These are expectations concerning intimacy. Sexual comments and touches might be uncomfortable for you. So, I'll give you an example. This is like intimate, a little personal. But in a past relationship, I had an ex that used to like to say to me while we were having sex, yeah, you my bitch. You my, and I didn't like that. And it took me a while, like it took us to be intimate and be in that space plenty of times for me to really come to terms, like, I really don't like that. Like, I really hate it. And I had to stand up and say, like, hey, I don't like when you do that. Like, it really kind of like just throw me off and take me out the mood. And he was like, oh, okay, my bad. I thought you might. You so hood. I thought you like a little gutter. You know what I'm saying? So it was like literally just a miscommunication. But I had to be open and honest with him about setting that boundaries, because that was really affecting our sex life. Like, just because, and I was just putting up with something that he wasn't even hell bent on doing. So you have to just be open and honest with your partners and with people that you're in these settings with about what you require, what you like, and what makes you feel comfortable. Because people want you to be comfortable so you can be more open and be the best version of yourself with them. The next boundary is intellectual boundaries. So these boundaries concern your thoughts and beliefs. Intellectual boundaries are not respected when someone dismisses another person's ideas and or feelings or opinions. So this is probably like the main way that most people like cross boundaries. I feel like is by going in or going off or deflecting or you know what I mean? Like, just you'll be like, oh, you're deflecting, or you're not taking what I'm saying seriously, or you're belittling me, or being condescending. Like, that you have to set what your expectations are and what you're willing to put up with those intellectual boundaries, and how you allow people to talk to you and treat you emotionally, like intellectually, and about your beliefs and your thoughts. Like, that's like if you are a certain religion, right? I believe that there should be boundaries. And even if we're discussing, if I'm a religion and you're a different religion, when we're discussing our religions, we have to have boundaries of knowing we're not going to disrespect each other. We might talk about the differences and similarities, but we're not going to be condescending. We're not going to talk down on either based off our beliefs. They're literally just that, beliefs. I got them and you got them. So we're going to be mindful and respectful of that. Cherie says she too strict. It's hard for her to find balance. Okay, well, we gonna find some today. Because you lose out. And Cherie, just on that, because I didn't touch on that, when you are strict, when you have super, super strict boundaries, you are withholding yourself from a lot of meaningful relationships and connections with people. So not to say just be open, willy-nilly and loose with them, but learn to like let some of them down with the right people who have earned the right to let certain boundaries down, and or to let certain guards down with people, respecting your boundaries, but also like being like mindful of, okay, this person has earned the right to go past this level with me. You know what I mean? And just being open to that. Because you could be missing out on some blessings, on some great people, on great insight. Because people can feel when you have a wall up. We can feel that. People can feel when you are distant, when you aren't yourself, when you aren't 100% open, when you aren't 100% transparent. They can feel that and they can sense that. And you know what it does? It makes them put a guard up. It makes them be defensive. It makes them be on defense. So if you have those guards up, it's going to do the same thing for other people. So you want to be mindful of that, because I know you want the best and most open and honest version of them as well. The last boundary is financial. Oh, wait, no, No. Sorry. I only did 3 boundaries, or 5. So emotional is a boundary as well. This refers to a person's feelings. So you might not be comfortable sharing your feelings about everything with a friend or partner. Instead, you prefer to share gradually over time. And I feel like that's healthy. Like, everybody should know everything about how you feeling and what's going on internally, because, sometimes people will take that and use it against you. Some people will hold that as ammo for later. So in a healthy boundary situation, you want to gradually open up and show and share your emotions with people and how you're feeling when they have earned that, though. Like, let's get in the habit of making people earn certain levels of you. It's like in the video game, you don't just unlock level 10. You got to earn up enough coins to get to level 10. So you have to treat people like that in your life. Like, you ain't just gonna get the very best, most open, transparent version of Brie. You got to earn that right to get to that level. The last boundary is financial. So this one, as you guess, is all about money. If you like to save money or not spend money on trendy fashions, you might want to loan out money to a friend or you might not want to loan out money to a friend who does. So if you say like, hey, my money don't get spent on that. So even when it comes to other relationships or people around you, they might come to you, hey, can I borrow this money? Or, hey, I have a strict boundary with friendships. Like, I don't want to do money in friendships. Like, I don't want to, we might could get money together and do like business deals, but I'm not loaning money to friends at all. I feel like that is a bad idea. Been there, done that, got the horrible postcard from it. Okay, and the scars. So I'm not doing that. And I learned that from not having that boundary. I learned like being too open or having any and everybody in your space, things that are like, being a homeowner. When I first bought my house, I would let any and everybody come stay with me. All my friends would come. They wouldn't treat my house right. And I'm like, hey, y'all, this is like my stuff, like my finance, like my money is in this house. Y'all are ruining it. It's costing me money. Nobody would put in on it. So I had to make stricter boundaries on what I was doing and what I was able to share with people financially, like, and how that affected me, and then I realized, like, I'm not loaning out money to friends, because that's a bad idea. It never works out properly. So those are the 5 different type of boundaries, and I want you to drop in the chat right now, like, which one do you feel like you are the strongest in, and which one do you feel like you're the weakest in? Drop it in the chat right now. I feel like I am the strongest in physical and intellectual. For sure. You ain't finna bully me with your beliefs, okay? That's not what I believe. That's not what I feel. And I always stick true to that, right? But I have often been weaker in financial boundaries, sexual boundaries, and emotional boundaries. I have overshared. I have been too comfortable with people too soon. I have hurt myself in those ways. So those are mine. I want to know in the chat. I'm repeating them. Okay, so the 5 boundaries are physical, sexual, intellectual, emotional, and financial. These are the 5 boundaries: physical, sexual, intellectual, emotional, and financial. And intellectual is more so about your beliefs. Emotional is about your feelings, like gaslighting, gaslighting people, hurting their feelings and making them feel like you didn't really do anything, or overly sharing your emotions and feelings with people. Intellectual is more about your thoughts and your beliefs, opinions and ideas. Sexual is, of course, when it comes to intimacy. And physical is like your personal space, your privacy, and your body also as well. And your finances, like anything that relates back to your money, your pockets, and your coins. So for me, I have been more lenient in the financial and emotional and sexual. I've been a little bit more, well, damn, I was lenient in physical too, because that was my space and I wasn't protecting my space. And that's the whole thing. Like, when you aren't protecting your space and you aren't setting these boundaries, you'll get distracted so often, right? So let's talk about some things that you can do to not get distracted this year once you set those boundaries in each area where you feel like you need to set some in. Okay. Sorry, y'all, the mic keep messing up. So also with like setting boundaries, I feel like it's about protecting your day as well and protecting your plans. So with that, I want you to be mindful. I'm gonna give you some actionables, some things you can do to always protect your boundaries. So you want to make sure you set. And I told some of these I kind of mentioned in other days with consistency and time management, but they also came back in this boundaries thing. So setting strict hours of operations, of course, allowing yourself daily time to decompress and just realizing like, okay, how can I be better in this area? Or what ways did, like, when you feel, because you're going to feel when people cross your boundaries, really decompressing and understanding why or how did I allow them to break my boundaries or cross them? And or was I clear in the beginning? A lot of times we don't communicate what our boundaries are up front. So that's why I want you to take some time this weekend to like really get clear on what your boundaries are in each area and what you require and what your boundaries are going to be around your peace, your mindset, and your goals this year, so that you can communicate those boundaries clearly with everybody around you. Because a lot of times you can't get mad at somebody if they cross your boundary, if they never knew or they had no idea. So you have to be overly communicating with people and being super clear up front about what your boundaries are to avoid miscommunication and mistakes in the future. So Mariah said that she's strong in physical boundaries and weak in emotional and financial, for sure. Blakely says, emotional boundaries with other people used to be hard. I used to let a lot slide. Girl, don't we all? But we're not doing that this year. We're not letting it slide. So when you're protecting your peace throughout this year, you want to allow yourself time to daily decompress when you do feel like your boundaries have been overstepped, when you're feeling overwhelmed. feeling unheard, all of these feelings that you might feel as a result of your boundaries being tested. Decompress, journal, write it, get it out, understand why or when that boundary was crossed, if they meant it on purpose, if they knew your boundary was there, and really assessing it so that way you can move forward by setting better boundaries and holding to them a little bit better. You can see the fault in your mistakes, right? You want to limit your gossiping and draining phone conversations while you're doing like those strict hours of operations, because that setting that boundary will protect your peace throughout the day. It will protect your mindset. It will protect, like, for those of us who allow other people's problems to be our own, that is going to protect and drown that out. Like, okay, I'm not even dealing with this, so I can't even, you know what I'm saying, focus on that at all until after I get off work. Because I'm not even answering the phone. I don't even know about what you got going on. And by then, hopefully you done figured it out and I ain't got to do it, right? And then you want to also refrain from leisure convos during this time because they can just go on to those things. And of course, you want to make sure you're resting as much as possible, y'all. Setting at least one day a week to absolutely do nothing. And be mindful and measure how much energy you give out so that you are getting adequate enough, an equal amount of rest and to rejuvenate and recharge. Like, I've been giving out so much energy this week. I'm going to sleep in tomorrow. I can't wait, y'all, because I need that time to reset, refresh, and rejuvenate myself. And that is me sticking to my boundaries of knowing just as much energy as I put out, I gotta put back in, and I gotta be mindful of that. So, and then something else small you can do is like picking 1 to 2 small things that you can do daily that are just for you to make you feel like you're paying attention to yourself and you're in those ways where in those areas where you're growing in your boundaries. Do something small, maybe in one of the weaker areas, to strengthen those boundaries. Practice saying no. Practice standing by yourself or standing up for yourself when issues come about. Like, doing those little things for you will help you to realize and respect your own boundaries moving forward, and therefore show people how to respect your boundaries as well. Oh, do you guys have any questions about boundaries or any areas of the boundaries and what ways you can start to create and set those boundaries? Because I'm going to give you some ways I'm going to give you like 10, 11 ways to set those boundaries. Okay, so Blakely says, my feelings used to get hurt because I wasn't speaking up. Yes, we have to speak up, because how will they understand what our emotional boundaries are and what we're feeling if we don't tell them? And then if you can be honest up front and tell them, like, hey, these are my triggers. These are things that I don't accept. These are ways that I do like to be treated up front. That will avoid so much miscommunication and misunderstanding. Blakely says Sunday is her self-care day as well. I only do things I want to do for me on Sunday. I love that. I wish it was Sunday was mine because I have to work on Sunday. But yes, self-care Sunday, Jasmine said, is a thing. We might have to do something for self-care Sunday with higher beings so we can all like just check in and be one with each other and one with ourselves. So here are 10 things that you can do, and I'm going to try to go through these kind of quickly so we can answer any questions if you guys have them at the end, because it's like 8:40. So enjoy self-reflection. You want to make sure that you are enjoying that time of decompressing, like we said, journaling, understanding and writing out when people broke those boundaries, overstepped those boundaries, or when you've been told by someone else that you've overstepped their boundary. Just self-reflecting and enjoying that process, because being honest with yourself is fun, and being open and honest is what's going to propel your progress and growth. You have to be honest first with yourself about how you really feel in order to like take a note to that, you know what I mean, and hold other people accountable to that. So start small. with setting boundaries, y'all. If you have an issue, start with one, or start with one area. Make sure that you aren't, excuse me, y'all, I'm sorry. Y'all know I am old. I've been yawning to like, I'm like, dang, it's only 8:30, 8:40. Like, why am I so tired? But yeah, start small. So whatever that is, like for me, I started with just saying, hey, I'm not going to, if I feel some type of way, like I used to, I ain't even gonna say used to, it was like literally last year. In fourth quarter, I being completely transparent, I had to tell myself, oh no, I'll have a maybe an idea or a suggestion. Say we're working in a group setting. I'll have an idea or a suggestion, and I won't bring note or attention to it because I don't want to seem like the one who is hard to please or always got something to say. But I am naturally just always thinking of how I can make or how we can make things better. And so I didn't want people to feel attacked by my input. So I would not say anything. And then it wasn't until I was shooting this movie and I'm doing all this stuff and I'm like, dang, I said that and I knew I thought that, but I didn't say it, or I thought we should do this, but I didn't mention it. And now we're paying the price for that because I did not speak up when I had the idea. And so I had to tell myself, like, that's one way I'm starting small is I'm not, I'm not having ideas anymore or suggestions or input or questions at that without asking them and acting on them, because you just never know how much time, money, resources that you speaking up might save. You know what I mean? Or how you and that person, if say you are biting your tongue about something and this person, excuse me, and this person, say you are holding and biting your tongue about how this person made you feel. They have no idea, but you won't say anything. They can't fix it. They can't respect your boundaries moving forward because you ain't even mentioned it. So for me, I started small by saying, anytime I got a question, anytime I got an idea or advice that I know can possibly help benefit the situation, I'm going to act on it because it could save us time. And I had to realize, like, your intent is never to hurt anybody. So why would you be afraid to be honest or act on that intent? You know what I mean? So start small. Pick one area that you feel like you can grow in or start setting boundaries in. And let me know in the chat what that area is gonna be. Like for Blakely, you said that you're speaking up so your feelings won't get hurt. But you know what I mean? So she's working on setting those emotional boundaries, and that can be hard. But making sure that you start small so that you can get in the habit of setting boundaries and start saying no. Just start there. If you don't know where else to start small, say no. Say no the next time somebody asks you something and you don't feel 100% yes, then say no. If you aren't 100% balls to the wall committed, then say no, or say, you know what, I need some time to think on that and get back to you. Don't just agree outright and say yes. That's a great small place to start if you guys don't know. But if you want to start small somewhere else, let me know in the chat where you're going to start small at. Also, setting these boundaries early. The earlier you set the boundaries, the earlier you are clear and concise about what your boundaries are and what your expectations are, the better communication that's there, and the better people will understand where to meet you at. They'll understand, okay, she been told me she don't like that. She told me that day one. I always knew that. So I can keep that in mind, and I'm not going to do that to you. Like I got a friend who got a hardcore boundary with rats. I know that sounds crazy, but she don't want to see a rat. She don't want a picture of a rat. So every time it's something wild, like it was this viral video of a rat in a Kroger, and she works in food. So I wanted to send it to her to show her, hey, look at this rat that's in Kroger's. Like, don't shop at this Kroger, right? But I immediately stopped because I know this my homegirl. She told me 7 years ago she hates rats and has always been very open and honest about that hard, non-negotiable, that boundary for her. So it's easy for me to respect it. Now, do I think it's weird how you can't even see a rat on the screen? I definitely find that odd, but I respect it because that's her boundary. It's not, I be like, girl, the rat not here in the room with you. Like, why you can't watch this video of the rat crawling on the turkeys at Kroger? Like, but that's her boundary. So it's easy for me to respect that boundary because she was open, she was clear, and she stood by that boundary throughout the entire time. Which brings us to the next point, being consistent across the board with those boundaries. Whatever your boundaries are, if that's your boundary, that's your non-negotiable, don't negotiate. It is what it is. Like I said, this is my boundary. I can't move forward on this. I'm not willing to work in that area. No, I don't like this sexually. No, I don't like this physically. Emotionally, this makes me feel like this, and I'm not doing it. I'm not going to allow you to do it, my mama to do it, my cousin to do it, my boyfriend or my friends. Nobody can do it because I'm setting this boundary and it's consistent across the board. You got to put your foot down because it's not a non-negotiable if you negotiate. If you get into a relationship and you say, let me give you an example. If you get into a relationship and you say my non-negotiable or my boundary is cheating, and the man cheats on you or the woman cheats on you, whatever cheating is to you, if they cross that boundary, if they cheat on you and you stay, that's not a boundary. It's not a non-negotiable because you allow it to be negotiated in that instance. It can't be a case by case. Your boundaries aren't case by case. They're across the board. These are the rules and the regulations. The law is the law. They don't care who coming in the courtroom. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to be mindful of that and setting those boundaries across the board, because if you get lenient on one person in one area, this person on that area, now you ain't got no boundaries because everybody just done ran over and ran through your little boundary list, your non-negotiable. So hold true to those no matter what and no matter who you're dealing with. And feel free to add extras. That's another thing. Add on boundaries as you grow. It's okay to be like, you know what? After further information, I've actually decided that I don't like this and that. You know, it's okay to add on extras to your boundaries. It's okay to add on information. I mean, as you get more information, to add on to the list of things that you're willing and not willing to put up with. Like, that is perfectly okay. We're always everly growing and evolving into different and better versions of ourselves. So our boundaries might get a little stricter. Our boundaries might change, or we might realize that, dang, that boundary isn't really as important as I thought it was. So it's not that I'm negotiating it. It's just I realize that's not a boundary that I know I no longer need in my life at this point. And that goes with across the board. Again, you want to be consistent across the board with everybody. Also with setting boundaries, definitely found this online, but they said beware of social media. Social media will have you bending your boundaries and bending your morals because of what you're seeing all the time. What it looks like is trending, what looks to be popular, what looks like it's working for other people. It might make you want to bend, break, or forget your boundaries. And you got to keep those boundaries in place because they're your boundaries, because you require something from that security of those being set. So don't allow social media or people or anybody to influence what your boundaries should be, because what worked for you ain't gonna work for them, and vice versa. Talk. Make sure you are talking about it. Be clear. Be clear is kind. So that's my new thing that I'm practicing with myself and with my team. I want to be clear at all times, and clear is kind. Me being clear with you is not me being mean. Me being clear with you is not me, think like I want to be as clear as possible with you and over communicate up front. So that leaves little to any room for miscommunication in the end, right? Be your biggest champion, y'all. When you set those boundaries and you stick to them, no one's going to celebrate you and no one's going to make you feel good about it like you will, because you know where you come from. You know it was a point in time where you wouldn't say no. You know it was a point in time, Blakely, like where you wouldn't speak up for yourself. You know, it was a point in time where you would let anybody do whatever to you, but now you putting your foot down. So celebrate it and be your champion about that, because that's not easy. This is not easy to do. Boundaries, I feel like, is probably like the hardest thing to consistently stick with and be good at. It says local recording stop. But it's just, I think it's just a recording. It's live though. Okay. Yeah, that's so weird. It's because it says my computer is full of space. But yes, you want to be your biggest champion, because when you overcome those boundaries, that took a lot of work. That took a lot of growth to acknowledge them and to stick to them and then to be presented with an opportunity to do the same thing that you used to do, but you didn't. You didn't act like how you used to act. You set your boundaries and you stuck with them. So celebrate yourself, because nobody else would do that. Nobody else is going to understand your journey with your boundaries like you will. So you got to celebrate you, right? And then gain some perspective, like understand why this boundary is important, where you feel like it has hurt you in the past. Like really assessing it and gaining the perspective of it will help you to stick to these boundaries. And when people give you boundaries, when people tell you their boundaries and you are like, what? That's weird. Don't judge them. Just try to be open and have an open perspective of what their boundaries are and why they might be setting it, what they possibly have been through to make them want to set these boundaries. Like you got to have it. Gaining perspective will often change your understanding. And then recognize and respect the boundaries of others. You can't have all these boundaries and then expect everybody else to respect yours and you won't respect theirs. So you got to be mindful of respecting other people's boundaries. And I think that, again, me being open and honest and transparent, when I didn't have boundaries, I didn't really respect nobody else's because I didn't have them. So get you some, and then you can help respect other people's boundaries. Like that's just is what it is. We're gonna go in the chat. If y'all got questions about any of these steps to setting boundaries and sticking to them and protecting them, drop them in the chat and let me know which one of these you are going to do and what areas that you want to work on. Whether you're starting small or you're setting them early, or do you need to work on being consistent across the board? Are you like, I'm good on my boundaries, but I need to add a few extras? Do you feel like you can be more open in talking about your boundaries with your loved ones and people that you're setting it with? Or do you feel like you need to celebrate yourself more by being a champion of your boundaries? And, or do you feel like you was like me, like, dang, I don't be respecting nobody boundaries. I need to respect them. Let's see what y'all talking about in this check. So, girl, Blakely, you are me and I am you. Okay, one of my newest boundaries is saying no. I used to go to places and do things that I didn't want to do, but didn't want to let others down. So now if it's not a full body yes, I'm saying no. Yep, let them know. Me too. That's how we're doing it. If our whole heart and being does not agree, is not in alignment, is not in discernment, is not in our spirit, we just saying no. It's just no. Sorry, no. And you ain't got to say sorry. I feel like as women, we apologize way too much. No. That's it. It don't even need a follow-up. It's so beautiful. It don't even need nothing to come after it, okay? You wasn't honoring yourself as much as you were honoring others. And I think that's something that a lot of women struggle with. We will people please. And I think it's because of what society has taught us, like how we've been groomed from little girls to be polite. Don't do too much. Be ladylike. And I used to be so... This is why sometimes we do have to go back to little me, because little me was like ladylike. I don't want to be a lady. That like I used to be so, I used to say that, but as I've gotten older and I started to quiet myself or push myself back into the background and hide myself, I did get more ladylike, right? Because I'm thinking, okay, I need to be quiet, I need to be poised. And it just dampened who I was as a person, as a personality, as a spirit, as a soul. So it's like we're no longer pushing ourselves back and doing what society told us to do. We're being ourselves, we're being loud, we're standing up for ourselves. And not only do as a woman, but like as a black woman, as a woman of color in the world, you get so much stigma on you for standing up for yourself or speaking up for yourself, but do it anyway. I'm telling you, do it anyway. I have not done it so many times that it has broken me. So do it anyway. We're not doing it anymore. We're not standing up for ourselves, no matter what the situation may be and what the backlash we may receive from it. We're going to stand up and be firm and true in our boundaries and who we are and what we require and what we expect from others. And the same for what we're going to give in return and how we're going to reciprocate that, because that matters. Amari says, facts, Jasmine. Had to learn the hard way. And that's the thing. Like, if you don't set these boundaries, you will learn the hard way. That's just how life works. So it's like you're going to learn it one way or another, either through repeatedly getting your feelings hurt and repeatedly having your boundaries crossed and repeatedly feeling played, or you're going to get the lesson, you're going to learn it, you're going to apply these boundaries, and you're going to hold true to them. Larissa said, clear is kind. Yes, clear is kind. And don't let nobody tell you no different. Like, being clear and overly communicating is just that. I'm being clear. I'm kind, and kind in your delivery as well, but clear in your delivery. So don't think that because I'm setting expectations that it is a dictatorship or anything negative. No, I just want to be clear, because that's kind. Because when I understand where you're coming from, you understand where I'm coming from. Now we can work in the best possible way forward. Courtney said, I just started setting boundaries with my own father this year and the rest of my family. My mother died from a heart attack and never set boundaries. So I don't want that to be me, because I know I'm just like her, with pouring out of an empty cup. Yes, and we have to check that. Like you said, you seen how not setting boundaries affected her health. That's what I'm saying. We will hold all these emotions and bottle them up because we don't want to share them with nobody else, and we don't want to tell them how we really feel until it just causes stress in our body. And again, stress causes disease in your body. And so you got to let that go. Taking those deep breaths to release in the moment. So you like, I'm not finna cuss you out. I'm going to take a deep breath and get present and get centered into who I am. And then I'm going to be clear and kind. I'm going to be kind and clear with you on how you crossing my boundaries and how that's unacceptable. We're not doing it. So being clear and kind can prevent us from having heart attacks, from having disease, from having all this stress that is unnecessary. Jasmine said, yep, family will do that. Family will do that. They'll be the main ones crossing the boundaries. Be the first. Look, she said, be the first ones to try to cross your boundaries. They do. Yes, because family members, they feel obligated to your energy or your space or your mental health and where your finances, but they not. That's the trick. They like to use them ties as a way to hold you down, but they not. So don't let anybody, remember, whatever your boundaries are, reminding yourself to be consistent and clear across the board with everybody. These are my boundaries, and let them know so they don't feel attacked. Like, hey, this not just for you. This for my next relationship. This for my friendships. This for everybody. So you just so happen to be somebody that I interact with. So I just want to communicate with you what my boundaries are, because I'm not accepting this from anybody. And when they don't feel like it's just a them thing, then it's like, oh, okay, this just for you. Yeah, this is what I require for me. This is what I need for me. And I know you want me to feel good, right? I know you want me to be comfortable around you, and I know you want, you know what I mean, me to be my best version of myself so I can be my best version for you. So this is what I require. And then at that point, it's like, how can you not accept that? You damn near a horrible person if you don't, right? But everybody on their journey to grow in their own pace, y'all. But as we coming up on the last couple of minutes of tonight, I just want to say thank you to everybody that's been following. Subscribe to the channel, to my channel, Bree Renee. If you have not done so, this is where the podcast is going to drop next Wednesday. So set your alarm, set your post notifications so you can get the notification and let you know and watch it first live, y'all. I'm so excited to be sharing this with y'all. The podcast is going to be nothing but week after week of having more meaningful conversations like this about topics that really matter, that can help us all grow into the very best version of ourselves. With people, though, I'll have guests on and we'll be talking about certain topics like this and what their experiences are and what their journey looks like to growth as well. So please, if you are not doing so, make sure you subscribe to this channel, like it, share this video with anybody, and also follow Higher Being Society. That's Higher Being Society on Instagram, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, y'all. Follow us. We are posting so much daily inspiration, daily information that can keep you growing and evolving into the best version of yourself. I really appreciate y'all rocking out with me this week. This was just something I thought about doing, and I love doing it. And so it got me even more geared up and hyped for the podcast. So I think we're definitely going to do another one of these again. Like I said, next time having a guest, next time bringing in other special people and just little extra things to do to add more value to you guys. I really, really appreciate y'all. Please send me any feedback that you have from the week. If it was, hey, I really like this night, or send me a quick little video. Like, I feel like that's so easy to just pull it out and just say it. Or if you want to text or DM your review or feedback, please do so to @Higher Being Society. Let me know what was your favorite night, what topics you feel like were really great, what topics you would like to hear in the podcast, how it impacted you, what you got from this week. If you want to do it again, let me know what you would like to talk about. Like, I just want to know. I just want to connect with y'all. Like, y'all my day one, so we learning and growing together. Like, can't nobody say nothing to me about Mariah. Can't nobody say nothing to me about Courtney Pat. Can't nobody say nothing to me about Jasmine Cherie. Larissa been in here. Blakely been in here. Like, y'all been in here every night on time and ready to learn and grow. Shayla, Shay, my homegirl Shay Crow, Cherie, all of y'all checking in. Laura. Thank you guys. This has been you enjoyed this week. It's definitely been amazing. Yes, this week was great. You were great. I enjoyed it. You're so down to earth and transparent. I had to work on my transparency, girl, because I was too open. That was one of the boundaries I had to learn to set. So I'm growing. But like I said, whatever I don't know, whatever I've learned, I will share with you all openly. And whatever I don't know, I'm on the hunt to find the answers or the experts so we can learn and grow together. So make sure, before you go, one last thing with setting these boundaries, make sure you have 2 to 3 people in your corner that can always continue to pour into you when you feel depleted. I have actually Courtney Packets on her. She one of my homegirls that I feel like pours into me consistently, and she gotta be a psychic because she be texting me and knowing when I need the pouring before I even tell her that I need the pouring. And then I also have the other homegirl, remember I told y'all, Denise, who's like a sister in spirit, so we pour into each other spiritually when it comes to the word and talking about God. So keeping these people around you will help you remember why your boundaries are important, because they're the type of people that don't cross your boundaries and you're like, no, you tripping because I got homegirls over here that don't do that. So you gotta go. You know what I mean? That will help you. And if you need to find that person, that place, that space, that's what Higher Being Society is. So you got us, y'all. We in this together, and I'm so excited to go on this journey of evolving into the very best version of ourselves together. That's what Higher Being Society is all about. Y'all, make sure you just stay tuned and subscribe to everything because the podcast is coming soon, and I can't wait to see y'all then. Okay? I appreciate y'all. See y'all in the DMs. Love y'all. Like, we did it. It's 9 o'clock. We did it. 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 Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Courtney Lee. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Eugene. Thank you for everybody that helped pull this together with all the troubleshooting as well. I know we about to get off the live, but I just want to say thank y'all to you, in the world, and to y'all face. You know what I'm saying? I love y'all. Thank y'all for helping me pull this off. Yay. See y'all next time.